You do what you need, man. Just do it.
What's up, YouTube? It's Big Ryan, the Fat Guy. NFL Week 13, picks against the spread. Let's start with Thursday Night Football. Fat Guy, the New Orleans Saints travel to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. 66% of early bettors are on the Saints, 34% on the Cowboys as 7.5-point underdogs at home. Who you got?
Oh, I'm going to catch like that 2 guys 1 cup video, but I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Cowboys. You get 7.5 points at home, and I know I say this every week. The Saints have covered, like 10 weeks in a row? Honestly, since I've been doing this, I don't remember a team covering this much. It has to end sometime, and then I'm going to get called an idiot because they covered by half a point against Atlanta. But it is what it is. I'm not laying 7.5 points on the road in what appears to be a somewhat difficult game. So give me the Cowboys and give me the points.
Moving on to Sunday early games. Indianapolis Colts at Jacksonville Jaguars. 62% on the Colts, 38% on the Jags as 3.5-point underdogs at home. Fat Guy, who you got?
Oh, we're going to go with Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, it's difficult for me to pick them because they disappoint me every week. And honestly, I really thought they were of the best teams in the league starting the year. I mean, on paper, they look good, but there's just something missing. There's just something missing. I'm not big on them technically right now, but 3.5 points and at home, and it's a revenge game. I'm going to take the Jags. On a side note, though, I'm going to say the Indianapolis Colts. They're a sneaky team. I think they're a team definitely on the rise. That manager has done a great job. They've beefed up their offensive line. Their defense is playing better. They had a nice comeback win against Miami this weekend. I think the Colts are something to watch out for. They could steal that division from Houston. It's a possibility. But give me the Jaguars and give me the points.
Especially with that coaching fiasco in the offseason. Whoever thought it would turn out to be this good.
Yeah, Josh McDaniels to Frank Reich. Frank Reich going aggressive on the 42, I believe. Didn't work out. What was that, 5-6 weeks ago? But they've been winning quietly, just humming along. So watch out for these Colts. They're a little bit dangerous.
Next up, the Panthers travel to Tampa to take on the Buccaneers. 46% on the Panthers, 54% on Tampa Bay as 4-point underdogs at home. Fat Guy, who you got?
I'm not a big fan of this game. Bucs pulled off like a blowout win. I mean, they were playing San Francisco, but hey, they still won. Kudos to them. And Carolina can't get it done against Seattle at home. Very disappointing. So I'm going to take the inverse. So I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to lay the points. I mean, I don't like it as well. I don't like laying points on the road, especially in a divisional matchup. But we are going Panthers, and they've got to play a little bit better. So much production out of McCaffrey and so little results. So let's take the Panthers, and let's lay the points, unfortunately.
Next up, the Baltimore Ravens travel to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Still too early for betting percentages. Baltimore is 3-point favorites on the road. Fat Guy, who you got?
Oh, these Ravens. New look Ravens. Rookie running back in Gus Edwards. This rumbling guy, like a young Alfred Morris with those toe-tapping legs. And Lamar Jackson, the rookie at quarterback, which may have usurped Joe Flacco, the 2-game winning streak. Really throwback, odd style. Like Randall Cunningham almost. I'm going to have to go with the Atlanta Falcons, though. I really did not care for their performance on Thanksgiving against New Orleans Saints. And happy Thanksgiving, by the way. We're Canadian, so we're not into that jive.
I get it, a turkey joke.
But I'm going to take the Atlanta Falcons. I get 3 points at home, and I actually do think Atlanta is a better team than Baltimore. I'm disappointed in Atlanta's defense. Every week, it just doesn't do it for me. That safety replacement, Kazee, that guy has turned some heads for me at least. He's played pretty well. Kind of feel like he's the anchor, and he's a backup safety more or less. I'm going to take the Atlanta Falcons. I want to see a strong defensive performance, but the versatility of this Baltimore team could give it fits. But give me the Atlanta Falcons and give me the points.
Next up, the Cleveland Browns travel to Houston to take on the Texans. 28% on the Texans, 72% on the Browns. Houston is 4.5-point favorites at home. Fat Guy, who you got?
I'm like so confused. I'm going to take the Houston Texans, and I'm going to lay the points. People are betting on Cleveland. Like they're rushing to the windows. When has this ever happened? And what a performance by Cleveland. I want to give Joe A a shout out because he said I was going to be wrong for sure on this Bengals-Cleveland game. And boy, was I wrong. Cleveland trounced them. And I want to make a side note here because I always like taking time out of my day to really grind the gears of Hugh Jackson. Just reminding everyone how horrible he is. You sign up, or you get hired rather, to be a coach of a team, and you're an offensive-minded guy, and you do nothing on offense, and then you get fired. You go to an opposing team and give them inside knowledge on the team you just coached. I mean, I know this is long-winded, but then that team puts up the best offensive performance of, I don't know, like since Derek Anderson in 2010. It's just unbelievable how bad you could be. I mean, it's on Marvin Lewis as well, but you just, like, what are they doing? I really want to know the IQ level up there. It's in the hard 70s, 80s. It must be. But anyways, I'm going to take the Houston Texans. I'm going to lay the points. But I'm optimistic for Cleveland. I'm just optimistic for them. Good for them. But I think they're going to get trounced in this game.
Next up, the Buffalo Bills travel to Miami to take on the Dolphins. 82% on the Bills, 18% on the Dolphins as 6-point favorites at home. Fat guy, who you got?
Oh, we're going to go with Miami. I don't like laying 6 points, but almost no one's betting on Miami. Buffalo, getting it done. Josh Allen with his legs against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I never get that right. And Jalen Ramsey calling out Allen before the game, and Allen winning the big one. I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to lay the points. I hope it's a little bit of a bounce back. I feel like Miami will play better at home. I like the secondary in Miami. I mean, really, couldn't you just stack the box against Buffalo and play press man on the outside? I like Miami's secondary. They get a lot of turnovers, too, and I think that's a high possibility against Josh Allen and these Buffalo Bills. So give me the Miami Dolphins, and I'm going to lay the points.
Next up, the Chicago Bears travel to New York to take on the Giants. The Bears are 4-point favorites on the road. Still too early for betting percentages. Fat guy, who you got?
We're going to take the Giants at home. I mean, it's just a home game. The Bears, we don't know who's going to play quarterback. It's undecided as it is. I want to make a point of note, though, is when the quarterback change from Trubisky to Chase Daniel was only a half-point line move. Which is really interesting. It means it's not that significant in the eyes of the book or the public, depending on how you look at it, between Trubisky and Chase Daniel. But by the way, Chase Daniel looked pretty good. I think anyone's going to look good in this Bears offense. Bears offense is pretty interesting. I'm going to take the Giants, even though they're not as well coached. I kind of like that I'm getting 4 points, but I'm really tentative about this one. So give me the Giants and give me the points.
Next up, the Denver Broncos travel to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Still too early for betting percentages, and the Bengals are 2.5-point favorites at home. Fat guy, who you got?
Oh, every week. Bengals. They should get like a handicap because Hugh Jackson's on the coaching staff, because apparently that doesn't help whatsoever. Those guys are just so moronic. And then Vance Joseph isn't much better, but he's on a 2-game winning streak. And not only that, 2 impressive wins. You beat the Chargers on the road, crushing my Survivor dreams, and then you beat Pittsburgh Steelers at home. I mean, at home is a lot easier, but you still beat the Steelers, who would look pretty good for a few weeks. So I'm gonna take Cincinnati, but I'm not jazzed about this one either. This is just a tough one for me. Cincinnati, but be weary of this one, or leery. I'm not sure which word works, but I'll let you decide.
Next up, the LA Rams travel to Detroit to take on the Lions. 71% of early bettors are on the Rams, only 29% on the Lions as 10-point underdogs at home. Fat guy, who you got?
We just got to go with the math on this one. I mean, it's not a sexy pick. We're taking the Lions, and we're taking 10 points. I'm not jazzed about it, but it's what you do. Double-digit dogs at home. It's what you do. It's unfortunate. Historically, you do very well taking them. Do I think the Rams are better than the Lions? Of course I do. The Rams are way better. Rams are, I think, the Super Bowl favorites. I mean, of course, the Saints as well. And the Chiefs not so bad either. The Lions are bottom dwellers for the most part. But I'm getting 10 points. I'm at home. Double-digit dogs at home. It's almost an auto play for me. So let's go Lions.
Next up, the Arizona Cardinals travel to Green Bay. Travel to Lambeau to take on the Packers. Still too early for betting percentages. Arizona is 14.5-point underdogs on the road in Lambeau. Fat guy, who you got?
Well, you kind of previewed it, 14.5 points. I mean, I get that Steve Wilkos is coaching the Arizona Cardinals, but maybe the Cardinals, they can have a good performance and tell Aaron Rodgers to get off their stage. I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to take the points. for the only reason that it's a lot of points. And let's not forget, remember that game against San Francisco on a Monday nighter? Was it 5-6 weeks ago? I'm not good with time, ladies and gentlemen. Mostly gentlemen if you look at the demographics of this channel. But I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals because of that performance on Monday night where Green Bay barely beat the 49ers. I feel like this is kind of a similar situation. I mean, it's possible. It's possible that Green Bay could blow them out, but they just haven't looked that good. Aaron Rodgers looks frustrated. So I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals, and I'm going to take the points. And it is what it is. I just look at all these garbage teams I have to take, but the numbers are so high. So just give me the Cardinals.
Moving on to Sunday's midday games, and we'll start with the Chiefs traveling to Oakland to take on your Raiders. 88% on the Chiefs, 12% on the Oakland Raiders as 15.5-point underdogs at home in a divisional game. Fat guy, who do you got?
Again, what am I supposed to do? Double-digit dogs at home. I have to take the Raiders. Raiders stink. We all agree on that. They're terrible. Chiefs are awesome. Chiefs are fun to watch. I like the Chiefs. And then I'm going to get in so much trouble for not picking them. But how can I have to lay 16 points on the road? It's just craziness. It's craziness. You have to take the Raiders. You think I like betting on these teams? It's almost as gross as the amount of tuna I ate this week. Well, maybe I have mercury poisoning or whatever, but I'm taking a lot of dogs. I'm going to take the Oakland Raiders, and I'm going to take the 15.5 points. I don't think the Raiders are winning this game. 15.5 is just a lot. Can we lose? Can we lose by 14? Is that a possibility? I'm thinking maybe. So let's take the Raiders and take the points.
Next up, the New York Jets travel to Tennessee to take on the Titans. Still too early for betting percentages. Jets are 10.5-point underdogs on the road. Fat guy, who you got?
I could sound like a broken record. Nice cliche, fat guy. Couldn't come with anything better, really. I'm going to take the Jets because I get 10.5 points. This is ridiculous. I don't even remember a week. This is like college spreads. I don't remember a week where there's this many double-digit spreads. This is crazy to me. Like, usually the NFL has a lot of parity, but it feels like, man, there's just really good teams and there are really bad teams. And the Jets are trending in the really bad direction. Are the Tennessee Titans, though, really 10.5-point favorites better than anybody over a long run of games? I'm not so sure. I'm going to take the Jets. I'm going to take the 10.5 points. And don't forget, Tennessee hasn't played. This is recorded on Sunday night. So on Monday, things could change. And to be honest, if the line's already out and some bad injury happens in Tennessee, you'll be the benefactor of having an early line if you bet this Sunday night and something catastrophic happens, because your bet will still be valid. So I'm going to take the New York Jets, and I'm going to take the 10.5 points.
Next up, the Minnesota Vikings travel to New England to take on the Patriots. 67% of early bettors are on the Vikings as 7.5-point underdogs on the road. Fat guy, who you got?
Oh, I'm taking the Vikings, but this week is really tough for me. I'm going to be perfectly honest. Hey, I said perfectly honest. We've been waiting for it. I'm going to take Minnesota. I'm going to take 7.5 points. This is weird to me, though. I thought the line should be something like 6, and the difference between 6 and 7.5 is really significant. So New England being 7.5-point favorites, it almost makes me think New England's going to win by 30. But I can't in good conscience not take Minnesota with the 7.5 points. It's just, you can lose by a touchdown, you win. And Minnesota's defense really is decent, although they are capable of being picked apart. And the injury to Xavier Rhodes is unknown at this moment. But they have a decent pass rush. They can give Tom Brady fits, and he's not very good at evading the rush if he doesn't see it coming. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm going to take the 7.5 points.
The final midday game, the San Francisco 49ers travel to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. 49% on San Fran, 51% on Seattle at home as 11-point favorites. Fat guy, who you got?
See it again? Another garbage team against Seattle is turning out to be a reasonable team. Making a push for the playoffs, the Seahawks. Good for them. I really kind of discounted them earlier in the year. I thought this would be the year of unraveling, but they've done a great job at converting this young talent into talent. They've played really well. I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers, and I'm going to take the 11 points. It's a divisional game, and I get 11 points. I know it's on the road in Seattle, which is a tough place to play, and let's be honest, San Francisco has just looked like trash. I mean, getting routed by the Bucs is like hard to do, and they did. I still have faith in Kyle Shanahan, but it seems to be dwindling. Mind you, there's been so many injuries in that team, you can kind of give him a pass, but We need a better effort. We need a better effort against these Seahawks. I'm going to take the 49ers. I'm going to take 11 points.
On to Sunday Night Football, where the LA Chargers travel to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. 65% of early bettors are on the Chargers, only 35% on the Steelers as 3.5-point favorites at home. Fat guy, who you got?
I'm taking the Steelers. 3.5 points seems like a little much. I think it should be 3. This line kind of smells weird, almost as bad as the smell in this room. I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to lay the 3.5 points. I don't really think the 3.5 points better at home than the Chargers, but there's just something odd about this game. Chargers have been kind of rolling aside from that one stumbling block against the Denver Broncos just 2 weeks ago. But Phillip Rivers, was it 25 passes in a row completed? And then an interception, oddly enough, to tie the record. And oddly enough, the record was shared with Ryan Tannehill. Who would have thought that? I thought Kurt Warner maybe Drew Brees, something like that. No, Ryan Tannehill is tied for the record for most completed passes in a row in a game. Anyways, nice segue, fat guy, real informative. I'm still going to take the Steelers. I think you're going to have a bounce back, and it's been flexed to this primetime game, which will be good viewing. This should be a good game. Very interesting. I'm going to take the Steelers, and I'm going to lay the points.
Moving on to Monday Night Football, where the Washington Redskins travel to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. 76% of early bettors are on the Skins, only 24% on the Eagles as 6.5-point favorites at home. Fat guy, who you got?
I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles. You believe Big Rye? You guys reading off a teleprompter. I'm reading it off cocktail napkins in my stupid brain. Still getting it out better. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm going to lay the 6.5 points. Washington is just so banged up. And it's nothing against Colt McCoy. I think Colt McCoy is a pretty decent backup. Been in the system for so long. Washington's offensive line injuries, they're just brutal. And the defense, although I think the Redskins is really good, formidable foes in the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. I mean, they haven't played very well as of late. They did have to come back to beat the Giants this weekend. But the Eagles, don't forget, they're 1 year removed from the Super Bowl, and this team hasn't changed all that dramatically. I'm going to take the Eagles. I'm going to lay the 6.5 points, and maybe Wentz can kind of resurrect his play from last year.
On to the lightning round, fat guy. New Orleans at Dallas.
Dallas Cowboys.
Indianapolis at Jacksonville.
Jag-Rags.
Carolina at Tampa Bay.
Carolina Panthers.
Baltimore at Atlanta.
Atlanta Falcons.
Cleveland at Houston.
Houston Texans.
Buffalo at Miami.
Miami Dolphins.
Chicago at New York Giants.
Well, make sure you use the right logo this time, but I'm going to take the Giants.
Denver at Cincinnati.
Cincinnati Bengals.
LA Rams at Detroit.
Detroit Lions.
Arizona at Green Bay.
Nice run of teams. Arizona Cardinals.
Kansas City at Oakland.
Well, it gets better with the Raiders.
The New York Jets at Tennessee.
The Jets with the right logo.
Minnesota at New England.
Minnesota Vikings.
San Francisco at Seattle.
49ers.
On Sunday Night Football, the LA Chargers at Pittsburgh.
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
And on Monday Night Football, the Washington Redskins at the Philadelphia Eagles.
Philadelphia Eagles.
So for pick and pool results, congratulations to Henochio, ya boy Dylan Toddfield, as well as the Pick 6, touchdown, and CTC9. Congratulations to all 5 of you guys. Went 10-4 for week 12. Big Ryan the Fat Guy, on the other hand, 4-10 for week 12.
Perfect.
Not looking too hot.
Hey, we won last week. We just didn't want to gloat about it.
Yeah, exactly. So for the year, we're 82, 85, and 8. Good for 49.1%. Doesn't look good on the old record.
Doesn't look good in the old record. We're not getting killed, though. I mean, this week. If you look at it, I got to take a macro view. Of this year. It's been pretty tough, to say the least. So, yeah, we went 4-10. But we were top of the tables last week, and this usually is how things work. 4-10, let's look forward. Let's be optimistic going forward.
Bronies, that's it for us. Good luck with your NFL Week 13 picks, and subscribe for more Big Ryan the Fat Guy.